Welcome to another episode of Prep Academy, where we have conversations with inspiring individuals from various fields to give our students a clearer idea about different career paths. Now, if you are someone who's passionate about designing or creating something new or even building the future, this episode is for you. Today, we have an amazing guest with us, Dr. Anusha Roy, who is an architect as well as an environmental planner. She's deeply committed to building environment-friendly cities. So let's unravel her journey and learn more about the real-world side of architecture through our conversation with her. Let's dive in. See, I have always found interest in, hearing how people land on their careers. So, how did architect come up for you? Like, was it a childhood passion, or did you develop a likeness to it later on in your life?
No, actually, for me, the first time I'm hearing the word architect was when my sister, my first cousin, she went to architecture school, and 3 years into school, she was like, "No, this is not my cup of tea," and that's when I said, let me take that up, let me, sip that up and say how it is actually, what is. But then I enjoyed. I loved what I was doing, and I was very clear. No, I'm not going for the technical courses like B.Tech Civil and all. I was sure that I'll get into something much more creative. So that's how I chose architecture.
Creative in the sense, did you have a love for buildings or spaces?
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had love for. I used to love going to building, looking around, seeing how you, I used to. Sense that space. I even as kid, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed going to places, looking around. So yeah, creative. I would not say creative, but yeah, I enjoyed being in a particular space. And
does B.Tech and civil engineering and architecture have anything in common?
Yeah.
Does the two overlap?
No, they don't overlap, but they go parallelly.
Okay.
So if I say in general terms, we design and they implement. But yeah, we as an architect also need to know what is going into our buildings, and so they are two fields that go parallelly, hand to hand.
Okay, so for high school students, like students who are passionate about getting into architecture, like what are the subjects that you would recommend they study early on? Like, if you can, could you recommend a particular stream that they should pick? And also, like, what are the entrance exams that they should be preparing for early on?
So I've seen people who everybody suggests people who are good at sketching go for architecture. I would rather say you go for some more creative field like B.Arch and fine arts courses like that. But see, what I would say is architecture is a subject. Architecture is not just one subject, it is multiple. You have history to it, how a particular structure was made. You have a futuristic perspective to it. I would say you should be good with physics, because physics tells you how a particular things happen. And if you're passionate to know about how your environment is playing, how your how materials have a particular property, I think that's enough. I don't feel there is a specific, because architecture is a completely different subject. You learn different things. There's no I wouldn't say you have to pre-build knowledge on a particular subject. Yeah.
So what about the entrance exams then?
Yeah. So entrance usually it's NATA. And then we have JEE mains. I mean JEE part 2 paper is supposed for architecture. So these are the two major papers. Otherwise, certain schools like the one from where I studied my architecture, Jamia Millia Islamia, I gave an entrance exam for it to get into the architecture school. So every school has their own perspective.
So, just like how you said before, there's this common idea that you have to be very good at sketching. I personally had, friends who are immensely talented in sketching, or immensely talented artists get into fashion schools or architecture schools. And I've seen people struggle in fashion schools because they do not have any skill in drawing. Is that the same case when it comes to architecture?
No, see, I was never good with sketching. I was okay. I was just, I mean, I think I developed my sketching skills in my architecture school, because there you have this subject called fine arts, and they will
Okay.
teach you how
Okay,
to
okay. That's
sketch and
news to
everything.
me.
Yeah, so in first year basically, and just to develop that, and you don't sketch. I mean, we used to go outdoor and sit in a place and draw something, so it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed doing that. So, and it's not necessary like you need to be really good with a particular element. See, once you
Is-
get into the architecture school, you'll have multiple subjects. You may have a likeness towards one subject. For me, I loved building materials and I loved building construction.
Okay.
So, a good part about being in Jamia Millia Islamia, my architecture school, was in building construction. They used to send us for market surveys, and we would go to the markets, see, like, you have a door frame. Why is that door frame? Why is only that much, niche created in a door frame? Why not more? And if you create more, then how would you create it? All those niche details. It in very basic. I think we started it off as early as second sem and all. We used to go to market survey, and then we used to design our own sections. So sections is what you call, cut a
Okay.
particular element and you see it.
Okay.
So that's how we used to have it in our college, and I found it very interesting. And then there was this climatology and there was building materials that I was passionate about. And then as I moved through my architecture career, and I think I had developed a passion towards it, and I'm catching up things on which is in line with those things.
So when it comes to sketching, again, I'm curious. Is it just, like you just measure, you use a lot of rulers, you use trigonometry, for the angles?
We
like
have
Okay.
to, not too much mathematical, but yeah, we have to, because we need to know, like I'll tell you.
So that's 80% of the sketching, like, measurements and all?
Measurements.
Because it's buildings, right? It's not like you're designing a cloth.
No, yeah, of course, you have to be very peculiar with your numbers.
Okay.
Like you need to know what you're designing. So numbers, calculation matters, because even 1 mm gap will be a
Okay.
big mistake,
Yeah.
or maybe something that can cover up your stuff. So
Yeah.
calculation matters. And so calculation and sketching doesn't mean just freehand sketching.
Yeah, that's what I asked.
But then you have to be very peculiar about, like, what are you sketching, what is the scale, how much height do you want. So numbers matters.
So I've heard trigonometry is very important, the sines and cosines. Is that
Yes,
actually true?
Yes, you need to know that.
Okay.
But not to that detail. But if you are going to get specialization in maybe, like, we had a subject called theory of structures. So if you that is your strength, maybe you can do it, but that's completely on the student. You will anyhow pass that B.Arch school even without being excel in that.
All
So
right.
you have multiple. In architecture school, they will give you exposure to multiple subjects, which would be completely new to you,
Okay.
and then you pick up
Yeah, based on what you like.
what
and
you
all.
like. Yeah.
All right. So just recommend me some of the best architecture schools in India as well as those abroad. And are there any factors that we need to keep in mind when choosing what college is the best for us?
See, to this question, I'll just simply tell you: Google it, you will get it, because
Okay.
you'll get which is the top number of schools. But what matters to me, you study in any school, any architecture school. They will give. There is a particular curriculum that they have to follow. That is mentioned by the Council of Architecture. So and then develop a passion towards each of the things. Maybe you like all of it. Maybe you are having a keen interest in one. So what I'll suggest is, instead of going into school, but whichever school you go into, develop a passion, which develop your field of interest, or you will understand it. And you don't want to plan it sitting here, okay, fine, this should be my subject. No, you will start developing interest towards one or the other. History of architecture was, for me, was also interesting, because that was like a storytelling,
Yeah.
So like how different architecture came, what were the properties of that,
So you're
of
more
it.
into the artistic side of the architecture.
I
Or
don't
you
know.
like history? I mean, like it kind of coincides with each other, right?
I would say I like. I always, I always try to get in the traditional knowledge into
Yeah.
the building that
Which is
you're
very
building now.
important, yes.
So that is what my interest is.
The
So for me,
evolution.
the evolution,
Yeah.
like why a certain thing is built in a particular manner. So we had this concept of baulis, step wells. So why was it built, you know?
Right in Mohenjo-daro, if I'm not wrong.
You
This-
have it in multiple.
Yeah, yeah.
Ahmedabad
Fine,
also you
fine.
have it. You
Yeah.
have, so they are step wells. They are actually developed, you know, to store water for certain period of time. You know, when there is a crisis in water.
Yeah.
So why was that built? So that curiosity. I mean, I can't use a step well in my home for sure. But yeah, you know, you need to know what was the physics or what was the science behind it to get
Yeah.
similar thing in our, you know,
Yeah,
in
in
our
this
setup.
ti-
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So.
So let us talk about your college experience. So you did your B.Arch in Jamia Millia Islamia and your M.Plan in SPA Vijayawada.
Yeah, that's School of Planning and Architecture.
Okay,
Vijayawada.
and you recently completed your PhD in IIT Bombay.
Yeah.
So tell me about your experiences in these three different locations.
Jamia gave me exposure to architecture. For me, that's my alma mater, and I love that school. A good part is the place where it is set up. It's all it has all lush green around. Which is still not affected by much of our development, but yeah, the school curriculum, the way we were taught was gives us a hands-on experience on a lot of things. So that was probably one reason I could I could
You got your exposure.
yeah, exposure to environment, the
Okay.
natural environment.
Okay.
So yeah, and then we had like really nice faculty, both young and senior faculties who were who wanted to see progress in each of the students. So yeah, and I was among those students who would run after marks, but I think in my first year, but then by the time I was in my fifth year, I realized it's basically how you tackle a situation, how you give solution to a particular
Problem
situation.
solving.
Yeah, that's what mattered, and that's what my school taught me in the initial the 5 years of my architecture.
So what are the softwares like? Okay, is there any software or a digital app that students like before entering B.Arch, before studying B.Arch, they should be familiar with? Like for high school students, and are there apps or software that you have to deal with after graduation that your school or B.Arch in architecture school doesn't equip you with, doesn't teach you?
First of all, when you are in 12th, don't get into any of those software things. You don't
Okay.
need it. Okay, you don't need it. Secondly, in order to land your first job, you may need software skills that you will learn over the 5 years of architecture. So you don't have to, and your peer group would be so competitive, you would be like, I want to learn this software, I want to learn that software. So in that way, you don't have to equip yourself with any of the software in the initial years, but then over this time when you're studying architecture, you will automatically be you would automatically be learning a lot of software. So the basic one is AutoCAD. So I don't know how the schools right now are, but when I started my architecture, so for the first 2 years we were asked to draw with pencil and with our hands,
yeah.
basically to get an idea of the scales. So I should not be an architect who doesn't understand proportions of a building or of a plant and a building. So in order to get an idea of scales and proportion, you need to actually draw with hands. So that's what they focus on. So skills the architecture school will teach you, not just software but also how to tackle situations. Yeah.
Now I've heard about architecture schools, like they are very competitive, like you just said. How do you deal with that kind of pressure and the comparison? And I've also heard about the deadlines, the immense amount of hours that you have to spend on submitting a project. How do you deal with that kind of pressure?
So I would suggest like architecture school, you have to meet deadlines. That's
Yeah.
the first thing.
Yes.
You are given a submission, you have to finish it on time. And then when I joined architecture school, then I came to know about this concept of night marna. We say it in Hindi, we say it night out. So that's like you're working the entire from day to night. You're actually working in order to get that submission done on time. So so that's how. And in order to tackle such situations, like have a good peer group, have good friends, talk to them, because we are all in the same soup and we're all dealing with the same problem. So I think it's that way it can be handled.
Okay, as a fresh graduate, okay, what was your first job? Was it an architecture job? Did you work as a junior architect or junior associate? And what was your first project like?
Okay. So first job was an internship rather. So
Okay.
it was a 4 months internship soon after my graduation, and I was working with the sociology section of Delhi Urban Shelter Improvement Board. So basically, what they do is provide shelters to the homeless. So, but I was in the sociology department, and I was actually, doing door-to-door survey of the slum clusters in Delhi,
Okay.
which are located in various spots. We were given a questionnaire. We had to go ask that to people. So this was basically to give them homes. Okay,
Okay.
how to get the numbers and what type of home they need. So that's okay. My passion, automatically. So I had this compassion towards people, or I don't know. So the not so privileged people, rather I would say. So. And then it grew, like I was like, concepts of sustainability got into, I came across in my life
Yeah,
also,
how did you come across sustainability? Because this is like a major shift, right, into climate focused, building. When others, fresh graduates get into like traditional firms, how did that shift happen?
So, when I was in my fourth year, I had an
Uh-huh.
elective called vernacular architecture. That
Okay.
means the architecture which is available in that local area. So, Kerala has a traditional architecture. So, I did my vernacular architecture for Haryana, and I was actually looking into the mud homes that is being created, built by the farm laborers. So, how the concept there is, farm is given to on lease to certain number of people, and these people actually build their own homes there for few years, that the period that they are staying in there. So I did my elective, that was my elective, and that's when I came to know, okay, mud has so much good property, because they were building refrigerator out of mud.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
That's
that
news
is
to
like,
me.
yeah, that's like, refrigerator means things don't get spoiled in that
Yeah,
area
right,
that they
right.
build. They use bamboo, and they're not using mechanized bamboo, or they're just using the natural bamboo as it is.
But
And
how does it work?
it works because they're not doing it for a long time, and it's
Okay,
a hot
fine.
area. It's
Uh,
not, they're not treating it, okay. So they're not treating any of the material. They want to stay, because in north it's Haryana, it's most of that, Haryana or Delhi per se, it's hot most of the
yeah.
time. So they were using the natural material as it is, and then building homes with it. And that's when my interest towards sustainability came into. And again, fifth year, my thesis topic was building a village development center. So
So
that
this
was,
really helped, I guess.
yeah, of course, because I came to know like what the people want, and how to build it in a low cost and everything. So that's how. And then after my first internship, where I was more engaged with people who were from not much, what do I say it, economically backward people,
Yeah.
from that
Yes.
section. So that's okay. I went through that, and then and then there was a shift. I wanted to learn more, like how can I improvise on all those things. So basically the idea was, I was exposed to this building with the natural materials.
Yeah.
I was exposed to people who are not that privileged to have their own homes. And again, after that, in my first official job of my architecture, I was exposed to green buildings. So that is how to bring sustainability into your daily, the build spaces. So we used to have meetings with big developers on what all things they can do. So all these things mixed up together, gave me a direction to where I am right now. So when I was into green buildings, we used to tell our clients who were majorly developers that it's not just about so you get extra in Delhi and all. Delhi, Noida, basically Noida. I was working in Noida. So the government there, they give extra FAR, so that is floor area ratio, or that's basically an additional amount of space to build. So if your building is green building, you get an extra space, so that means an extra money. So it should go beyond that money perspective. It should it should be breathable spaces inside. It should not be chemicals. It should not be harsh to the people who are living inside. And then, yeah,
So
that's
this is how
sustainability
the shift
and
happened.
yeah.
So are there any similar pathways, for B.Arch students to explore, like climate?
Yeah, so I came into climate because I was interested in environment. So for me, my motto was your building should not harm the environment, but development should not stop, because if
Yeah.
development stops, then I think that progress also stops. So for me, what I thought was, I was doing environmental impact assessment. That means, like, again, it actually tells you like how your building is affecting the environment. So that's when I came to know about this course called environmental planning. And in environmental planning, I was more interested into climate. Like, that was all a part, temperature,
Yeah.
wind, humidity. That was all a part of our curriculum. So I was interested into climate, and I started my research on it. Like so my core niche area is actually urban heat islands. That is, in urban area, sorry, urban heat islands. So basically, islands. So
Okay.
basically, why a particular area is behaving like a heat island. What is a heat
Yeah,
island?
yeah, I got
Island is like surrounded by something. So this is actually a hot spot and surrounded by a cool area. So that's it. So why is urban areas becoming like that, and what could be that reason? And I use satellite images.
Okay.
So one of my, I won't say strength, but one of the positives that I have is, I always, if there's something that's challenging, I tend to fight with it, and I just find my way out.
Got it.
So,
So like climate is a niche.
yeah.
Temperature is a niche, or does temperature, wind and all come under climate thing?
Yeah, all those. There are various factors that comes under into
Okay,
climate.
so climate is one niche.
Yeah.
What are the other niches that are?
That people could actually pursue as a career,
rather than
Okay.
just joining traditional firm
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just building buildings for other people.
So-
What are the other niches that
So
they
you
can?
have urban design. What is
Yeah,
like?
urban design is what you chose.
No, I
No?
chose urban planning.
Planning. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So urban
planning.
design is basically on a much, designing spaces.
Yeah.
Urban planning is basically planning the urban
Right, right.
areas.
Got it,
okay.
got it.
So then there is sustainable designs. There
Yeah.
are sustainable. Then I think environmental designs. There are a lot of courses.
Yeah, that's what I asked.
Yeah, transportation planning is another course. So
Okay.
you just don't look into city level.
So you get an idea about this once you enter architecture school.
Yes, you get, and you started developing an interest towards it.
Okay, okay. So that is when you will explore these. All these are actually taught in school,
Yes.
or
No, a part of it is always taught.
a part of it. Yeah, that's what I asked.
A part of
Okay.
it is always taught.
Yeah. So, is there more to architecture than just creativity,
Problem solving,
problem solving?
patience,
Okay.
and being very observant. You have
Okay.
to be observant.
Okay.
You learn a lot of things when you go out. And coming back to your previous question, when you asked if you, how do you rate colleges, like which is
Yeah,
a good college,
right,
or
right.
is it in India or abroad?
Right.
What I've seen is, I've traveled to Australia. For work. I've traveled to Indonesia, but what I saw in Australian schools are the way they are taught architecture is different.
Totally.
They are completely
That was one of
different.
my doubts when I asked you
Yeah.
about colleges
So-
abroad in India.
Yeah, so the actually they help you, the way they shape the student. It helps them to think in a wider perspective.
What is different? What is different?
What is different, if you ask me? Because here we are given. Here I feel like it's too easy. I won't say easy. I mean, how to say that? Here it is. I don't know how to define that, but
Alright.
because the way they are taught, they're not taught. They're taught how to think.
All right.
you know,
Okay, okay.
than just bookish knowledge.
Okay, okay.
So in India, I feel like, even from school level, so
Right,
you're not
right.
given that point to think.
It's more theoretical here.
Yes,
Practical
yes,
knowledge is.
yes. There it is not like that.
Right.
It's like, they are given a perspective. Fine, you do it. I'll tell you one thing. When my sister did architecture, the first problem, she's just into architecture school, and the first problem she got was, okay, this is the material I'm giving you, and you have to build a chair, and in such a way that a person who's 40 kg, if he sits on that, the chair is not going to break. And that material was a cardboard.
Okay.
Fine. So you need to know what type of sections, like how do you join
Yeah,
things.
yeah. So that practical work
yes,
is important,
yes,
not the theory.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I feel like in Indian system, a lot of theory is inbuilt
In all the fields, yes, that's the same. Theory is given more value here.
Yes, yes. So
what is the future of architecture like? Is it in demand? Like when it comes to, in terms of like climate, like you said, like is it in demand now? Or is it a dwindling prospect?
see, I would say in demand.
Because we don't hear a lot of students inquire about architecture in general.
Yes.
That's why I have this doubt.
So recently, I was talking to one of my professors in IIT, and he says nowadays the trend is like you do 5 years of architecture, you gather as much of software skills, and then you move abroad, work there as a draftsman, and then after a few years working there, you work as an architect, you get a better pay. One major drawback in India is pay. You don't get
Right.
that good
Again.
amount in the initial year. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to sustain with a minimal amount of stipend or the salary that you get. You create a niche. You create a opportunity. That's what I would say.
So yeah, again, how do you build your credibility then? Like as a fresher, how do you build your credibility?
See, I always believe in one thing, that is being observant.
Yeah.
Understanding a situation and have the analytical skills to solve it. For example, if I say when I moved to Kochi, I am a Malayali. I was brought up in Delhi, and here I was just trying to get in touch with the right people. And if you ask me who are the right people, so I just googled some of the agencies who work with environmental designs or who work on the betterment of the society. So I was trying to talk to them, and once you talk to them, you'll automatically know where the gap is, and fill in that gap with the skills that you have. That's what I always suggest.
Okay.
Don't like in Three Idiots there's a statement. There is one statement there. I am not good with that.
No problem.
Reading that lines, but it would be good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Opportunities will come on its own way.
Yeah.
And be proactive.
Okay.
So if you are in an architecture firm, develop an
How do you
interest.
fill in the gaps?
Yeah,
That is the main.
how do you fill in the gaps with the skills that you have?
Okay.
The job that I'm presently doing, it's urban planning. I did my master's in planning only, but right now I'm a coordinator. So I have to do multiple tasks. So with my skills that I have learned over years, how am I going to fill in that gaps? How am I, that's what I do max,
Okay,
to,
okay. So, what qualities do you think architects need the most, like future architects, and especially with the rise of climate change and climate concerns and with evolving technology, what are the skills that they should be developing?
Yeah, so be up to date, know what is happening in the market. How can technical expertise enhance your build space? Like,
does AI play a huge role here?
Yeah, it is. Presently, it is.
Presently.
People are actually designing building. They don't need architect. They would send in the specific rules. They will assign it. Fine.
Okay.
I want this spaces. It has to be like this, and then you develop a plan, and you get a plan by itself. So AI is playing an important role. I would tell you something that in my architecture school, my teacher told me this. So in olden times, when architecture was an area where only the rich would go for it.
Yeah.
So that was also one misconception, though it have changed over time. So the architects lived with the people. So they would live with their client for some time and then understand each of their habits and then design a building.
That was like a huge process.
Oh my God, that was a huge process. I mean, I cannot even think.
That's such a huge process.
Yeah, so that's how it was olden times. So to be okay, fine. I would say just be technology. What are the technology and what are its advancement? What are the technological advancement? You need to know
up to date with the technology.
Be up to date
Right.
with it. Know what are the new things that are coming up in the market, because every time the science is evolving, the materials
also,
are evolving. try to see how you can use it. Maybe start with a small project, and then see, and then meet the deadlines. What I've seen is, or even meeting deadlines is some very crucial, because that build trust with the client,
especially with the clients.
Yes. So these are
that starts with college level itself.
Yes,
from
that
the college
starts
level
with
itself.
college level.
Yeah.
I still remember, we used to sit all entire night and would draw, and then the next morning run to give us submissions. Oh.
How do architecture students land internships? Like, is it easy? Because it's not easy for every other students. Like, for example, BA students, it's not very easy to land an internship.
Yeah.
So is it that difficult for architecture students?
It depends on number of architects that you are having around your city or where you are planning to. So if you have a good number of architect studios or firms near, where you want to work on, then things become easy. But then the pay comes into picture. You won't
just give an advice on how to build a good portfolio.
Start from I've
do you have to do internships right from the beginning?
That depends.
Like from first year or second year to build your portfolio?
No. So that depends from school.
Okay.
Like my school, after my thesis completion, we had internship after that. That was a 6-month compulsory internship. There are colleges which give 1 year compulsory internship prior the final year. So we have 5-year course. So some colleges give it in the 5th year, some colleges give it in the 4th year. So that depends from college to college. And when you, I'll tell you, when we are employing an architect, it's basically what we, at the initial stage, what we see, or when we interview an architect, what we see is how are you going to solve a problem. That's the most. Or do you know the basic concepts? What should be the size, what is the basic standards that we use. So these are the things that should come on your fingertips. What would be the size of the parking, what would be the size of the bed you are going to place in a room, so that you have an idea of, okay, I suggest you, suppose we are in a bedroom and I'm asking you to design a bedroom. So that should be in your fingertips. What should be the size of what is the standard actually? So because you build on that. So if you are clear with the standards, you know how to play with the standards to make something which is your own design.
Okay. Right.
So be clear with the standards. It is important. It's very important.
So basically physics, measurements, and problem solving skills, those are the most important parts, of architecture.
Yes.
All right. With this, we have come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much again, because this has been a very insightful session for all the, budding architecture students out there. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So, if you have enjoyed watching this video, please recommend this to a friend or to anyone you believe will greatly benefit from watching this video. And as always, stay curious and keep learning. See you until next time.